washing machine.
Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Cola album. Moody Coup. Cola is the musical project of electronic tinkerer and extreme sampler Michael Pepich. This is his new full-length under this name, with which he has released other full-length albums, which, not too much unlike this one, are electronic, sample-based, and have a sort of neo-psychedelic tone to them. I would actually say on earlier releases like Dial Tone Earth, there was a really clear Animal Collective influence in how some of the samples were executed. There were even some really strong dub reggae vibes, which continued very strongly on his next full-length, Daydream Repeater, that dropped in late 2011. Moody Coup, though, if you're familiar with Cola's earlier stuff, still very much feels like a Cola release, mostly because of these spacey synths and the way that vocal samples and just samples in general are chopped on this thing. But surely this album comes off as being much more abstract and complex. On this thing, Cola grabs samples from across the conceptual plane, everything from scissors cutting to drink sipping, spans of music, pieces of percussion, weird unidentifiable noises, breaths, a lot of familiar sounds that are executed in such a strange way that I feel like I'm just transported into this completely different world where nothing makes sense. It's like an electronically generated Dali painting or something. My records behind me are melting, and Cal Chuchesta is playing a melodica solo on a dog.
It is difficult to make sense of this world.
Acting. The rhythms throughout this album are incredibly jittery and strange, very oddly shaped, and the samples are twisted, pitch-shifted, manipulated in a myriad of different ways. The synthesizers feel as if they're playing sequences that were programmed on some computer from the late 90s, early 2000s. They kind of have a tone to them that feel as if they were borrowed from like a self-help video or something. It's kind of vaporwave, if you ask me. There's definitely an element of PLUNDERPHONICS on this album, a la 106.Never or Matmos. There's some glitchy music sampling abstractions on this thing too that remind me of early girl talk. And many of the samples on this record are paced out in a way that feels as if they're spelling out some kind of experimental techno structure that I can't quite make sense of, even though there are artists in sample-based music that I can't point to in reference to this album. This LP feels more like a personal exploration of sound and music as opposed to some kind of ode to any one influence. Even though this album can be very disorienting at first because of its sounds, once I listened to it again and again and again, I really kind of got to feel what each track was going for stylistically and emotionally, and it just wasn't this very confusing jumble. For example, the opening track on this thing, Sukiyaki To Die For, which in a way really has a strong jazz fusion vibe to it with its constant ride cymbals, the piano and synths on this thing too, but of course the samples and just the very spacey production, the reverb production makes it feel pretty futuristic and sort of Cosmogramma Flying Lotus-esque. It's a pretty intricate track that I dig a lot, and the song Deaf Christian is another favorite of mine from this LP. The track has a really busy beat and it feels as if it's sampling these Motown era vocals. The words that are being sung and the melodies really ring true from this era of music, but the way that this song builds up, especially with the hi-hats on this thing, it feels as if it's also borrowing from trap music too. The track is really an incredible and creative set of influences, samples, and edits, and there's a hard groove on this track too. Even though many of the sounds on this album may seem strange with how they're placed and where they're coming from, Cola is typically not mysterious when it comes to grooves. The grooves that these beats rock are really the most straightforward thing about this album, in my opinion. If there is a major downside that some listeners may find on this LP though, it's that the constant and strange samples being repeated over and over and over on many of these tracks can be a little overbearing. And the sounds that Cola assembles on some of these tracks, most notably on a track like Melter's Delight, it's not like all the sounds, in my opinion, really come together into something that feels cohesive, with all the synth arpeggios on the song really clashing more than they come together. Really makes the song more of a mess than a triumph. I could see that the hi-hat really references kind of a techno thing on this song, but Cola definitely makes it experimental by omitting the constant kick drum. But I still feel like this track and many others on here don't go on for as long as they possibly could. Maybe string these ideas out a little bit, make some space, and build up to the most intense and really cacophonous part. Instead, songs like Melter's Delight really make a ruckus and bow out pretty quickly. I pretty much feel the same way about the track Redeemable Features. Songs like For example, really take their time going somewhere, set a very patient pace. I love the woodwind synths on this track, which are matched up with other synth tones as well, which are equally lush. That combined with some of the weird clicks and hi-hats and the beat on this thing, this song is much more palatable. The song Suspicious kind of has that dub reggae feel creeping back into Kola's music. It has these guitar samples that really, it skips across the ocean like rocks. And on top of it, the song takes these chill vocals and sax samples that are warped in this very strange way that's sort of unsettling and sour. This album to me is really more of an experimental mind game, and while it is really intriguing, it is very playful. That can't be denied either. To listen to these songs over and over and over again, the novelty of just how weird and out there they are wears off moderately quick, and the fact that they don't have a really strong structure to them, it does make this album lose its flavor a little bit, though still it is very admirable and likable to kind of pop on an album that is, you know, sort of throwing all these unexpected things at me a little bit. I'm feeling pretty much like a decent to strong 6 on this thing. If you've given it a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Kola, Moody Coup, forever.